There comes a time in your life where you just have to admit that you're finished. There comes a time in life where you just have to accept that you are done. There comes a time in your life where you know that your brain isn't working as it should. And Florentino Perez, he has lost his whole damn mind. He has lost his whole damn mind. Because what we seen yesterday in that press conference was nothing short of a disgrace and an embarrassment to an institution as great as Real Madrid. I really cannot believe what I read last night. I had to take my time to make this video to gather my thoughts. Because what the fuck was that? I mean, there is embarrassing episodes, manic episodes, and then there's that. I felt like I was watching an episode of Office. It was almost a soap opera, a serial drama. Because some of the stuff that Florentino Perez was saying last night, I still cannot believe what he said. Unless you guys were living under a rock, Florentino Perez announced an emergency press conference yesterday around 5 p.m. UK time, 6 p.m. Europe time, like that matters. I said on my YouTube, I said on my X, is he going to announce his resignation? But he didn't. He didn't announce his resignation. He said, I quote, "I am sorry to say I am not resigning." So he spat in the face of people like me and all the journalists that were reporting saying that he could be, resigning. But that wasn't the case. This was almost a press conference to tell people that he was still alive. Apparently, he said there was reports of media campaigns saying that he was terminally ill. Well, obviously he wasn't. And he's alive and well. It was an announcement to the world that if anybody wants to stand up against him in the new elections that he announced, now is the time. Now, of course, in the last 3 presidential elections, there has been 0 candidates that have been taken up, against Florentino Perez. So he has, as default, won and, carried on being the president. We'll get into who could possibly go and, stand against him. But let's just talk about his quotes. Now, some of the quotes that this guy was saying, I said on my X, somebody take the mic off him. This is like a drunk uncle or granddad at a party, accepting and admitting to all the crimes he's done. That's how it sounded like. He was attacking journalists. He was attacking his own players. He was saying that there's a rat in the dressing room. He was attacking, women. He was saying there was a woman journalist that don't know anything about football. This is a state of Real Madrid. He mentioned a journalist from, I think it was AS or something like that. He mentioned that apparently there's a media campaign against him that he's going to cancel his subscription. Not once did he talk about the sporting side. Not once did he talk about where and how this team failed this season. There was a journalist that asked him, don't you want to talk about the season, which is what the fans want to know? He replied, no. This is the president of Real Madrid. This is the president of Real Madrid who doesn't want to talk about why this team went trophyless, why there is fights in the dressing room. He even went on to say that these things happen and that he loves his players. There wasn't any ounce of accountability from this president, not any sort of explanation. He didn't even try to sugarcoat it. He just didn't talk about it. This press conference was all about him and about how his PR got finished and how the club's PR is in the gutter. But what he doesn't understand is the reason why the team's PR is in the gutter is because of results on the pitch and his dressing room that he has allowed. He has allowed with siding over players over managers. He has allowed with allowing fights and not punishing players enough. And whoever advises this guy needs to be sacked. Who on earth told this guy that this is a good idea? Who on earth told Perez, yes, bro, you go and make a fool out of yourself in front of the whole world? This was an embarrassment. But there's a reason why Perez has been the only guy that's actually competed in the election. Now, the reason for this is that Real Madrid have a strict rule that to become a president of Real Madrid, you must be a socio for 20 years. For people that don't know, this is basically being a member for the club over 20 years. And then not just being a member for 20 years, you have to have at least 15% of the annual revenue of Real Madrid. Now, of course, if you look at Real Madrid's current figures, Real Madrid currently are making 1 billion in revenue, which that equates to roughly around 187 million euros. 187 million euros in personal assets, not the business or the company, personal assets. Now, of course, for people that don't know, Perez is a very, very wealthy person outside of football. He has his own company, energy company, something like that, and he makes a lot of money, of course. So he's got that wealth, and he also was a member for more than 20 years, a socio. Now, to become a socio isn't easy. You have to either be, like I said, a socio yourself, or have families that have also been socios, or, you know, or grandparents, something like that. So it's almost impossible, because there are not a lot of people in Spain that's just basically 20 years of socios and also have that much in wealth. 187 million euros, around that figure, in wealth to then become the presidency. This is absolutely unbelievable. And not just become the president, just to stand in the election, you need to have this amount of money. And the bank has to approve it as well. You have to prove it. You can't just say you've got it, of course. Now, there's only one possible candidate. His name is Enrique Riquelme. Now this guy was, the last couple of elections, wanted to stand up against Florentino Perez. Now, of course, he is a billionaire when it comes to his assets, but he doesn't have the personal assets. He's about 4 billion worth in terms of his businesses. He's got businesses in Mexico and in Spain and around Europe as well. Now, Perez actually did mention him yesterday, and he said that Mexican or Spanish speaking person, if you want to stand up against me now. And that's why he announced the election. Now, reports came out today that this guy Enrique Riquelme is basically arriving in Spain, and he's going to see if he's going to go for it. Now, let me also remind you, there is a 10-day period, basically a deadline, to where any candidate can then obviously elect themselves or put themselves into election. So this is a huge time now, because if this Enrique Riquelme guy can prove that he has the assets, not just in wealth but personal, this is the only candidate. In conclusion, Perez and the club has made it impossible for anyone else to actually go against this guy. So there's no wonder this guy has so much power. They not just have to stand as an election, they also have to be voted by all the socios. So it's a big process. Now, Perez has made it like this so he can carry on winning, and that's what he's going to continue to do. That's just my thoughts on that embarrassment yesterday. This club is in shambles, 2 years trophyless, and these are the things that's happening right now. He's either going on an interview with J. Pedro tonight, again, El Chiringuito TV. This embarrassment doesn't stop. But fact of the matter is that press conference yesterday was all about him and all about how Real Madrid's PR is, not about success on the pitch. And that's exactly why we are where we are today. 2 years trophyless, toxic dressing room, managers being sacked, players, you know, spoiled. That's where we are. So look, let me know your thoughts in the comments, of course. That's just my thoughts on this. What do you think of this mess? Is Perez finished, as I said? Of course, do you have any other contracting points? Barcelona fans, what do you make of that comments? Of course, he did also mention the Negregia case, which I didn't mention, but that's for another video. And of course, any other points, don't forget to leave your comments in the comment section. Until next time, Real Madrid.